Hi, and welcome back to Cup of Cheer. I wanted to do a little follow-up video to one of my blessings videos last year about a little flower that you may or may not remember. And I actually did some research on it. So here we go. Last year I did a video about one of my blessings, and it involved a flower that grows in our grass. And here it is. It's back. It's a little yellow flower. And I learned recently that it is called either Burmuda Buttercup or sour grass, as well as a few other names. If you want to look it up, you're welcome to. I need to get where it's a little better lighting. It's one of my favorite things around this time of year. And it pops up, and then the gardener comes and mows it down, and then it pops up again a couple more times, and then it's gone. And that seems to be its pattern in life, at least in my life. So last year, after posting the video, and then again this year when I sent some pictures of that sweet little flower to my cousin, I was asked what this flower is. Since I've been wondering most of my life anyways, I thought, you know, why not look it up? So that's what I did. And here's a couple things that are interesting. It is technically a weed. It is considered an invasive species. So that's kind of a bummer. But it's also really sweet for a few reasons. First of all, it was actually used to cure, like an herbal remedy, to cure many different ailments back in a couple hundred years ago. Possibly even more recent than that for some ailments. But secondly, I love that even though it looks so precious and fragile, that God made it to actually be extremely resilient in two very interesting ways. I'll start with the most surprising, the one we don't see, and then I will talk about the most beautiful version of its resilience. So here we go. First off, if you actually want to get rid of this flower, it looks super fragile, and you go to pull it and it will break off. And it's like, oh, I've got it all. Very, like about this far down in the root, it looks still pretty fragile, and you think you've gotten it all. When in reality, that little skinny looking, super fragile root is actually bearing a bunch of little bulbs that are growing further and further and further underground. And they're very strong and hardy. So you got to do your work to really get rid of this thing. Secondly, when you look at the flower, it looks like any wind could just knock this thing to smithereens because it looks so fragile and soft and precious. I love that about it. But what it does when the sun goes down is really cool. Okay, so let me take you back to the flower. All right, so you see this thing, right? It's open because the sun is hitting it. But when the sun starts going down, when it starts finding the shade, it closes up to look more like this. Or like these babies. It's a protection that it has built in. And frankly, I find that pretty cool. So, yes, it's an invasive species. Yes, it's technically a weed. And in certain parts of the country for livestock, I believe it's actually a part of the world. In Australia, it can be quite a problem for livestock. And for those, that's sad. That is legitimately sad. I, however, am grateful to have it in my yard because I only have a couple blooms of it, I guess you could say. And it isn't invasive, and it's just absolutely beautiful, and it goes away after a few weeks. And it just reminds me of God's beauty and God's grace. And right now, to be reminded of the resilience, even when things look really fragile, is a really sweet reminder. So God's beautiful. I mean, I knew that, but I don't know. I just love the beauty of this flower for that reason. All right. Sorry, pardon my appearance, but it's been one of those days. Love y'all. Ciao for now. Bye.